Hello and welcome back to the Magic Kathi show and an energy update because we are in the trinity of Pluto activations, as I, recorded in or told you about in one of the previous episodes. And since we are right in the midst of it, I thought I would talk about a very significant happening literally right now as I speak. I mean, it's been 12 hours now, almost, that Pluto met up with Mars in Aquarius at 0 degrees. And leading up to that, I mean, there has been a huge build-up. Where do I even start? I think I want to start with the fact that sometimes I'm really blind as well, guys. Trust me, I'm blind. Like, I'm going through things and the universe is putting me through stuff, and I'm just like, I have this feeling of I'm going through my own shit and don't even have capacity to create something, share something, make an impact, like all the things that I on my to-do list, like how I can share the insights, and then life is distracting me. And I was sitting back and going back to my own energetics here, which basically means, I'm a projector. I'm self-projected, and my life theme, even in the gene keys, I'm a left angle cross, so it's very interpersonal, and I keep forgetting that. Like, I not that I keep forgetting that, but I keep not putting one and two together in a way, meaning that the things that I'm going through are a metaphor of what's actually going on in the collective energy too. And I've been witnessing and noticing what happened over the weekend, and Monday was a fucking horrible day. I shared it on Instagram. And then obviously we had Tuesday, Mars moved into Aquarius. And then Wednesday, Valentine's Day, as I'm recording this, we have that Mars-Pluto conjunction at 0 degrees. And later this week, we will have Venus moving into Aquarius and Venus then meeting up with Pluto. Point being is that Mars moves into Aquarius first and meets up with Pluto first. And that's significant for us to witness. What is Mars? What is Venus, right? I mean, where do I actually want to start even earlier, because I think it's really, again, cosmic poetry, as I always like to say, to look at these lineups and know exactly what the universe wants us to do, what's on the agenda, right? We had Mercury, the mind, moving into Aquarius and meeting up with Pluto first. So what needed to be transformed for all of us to be free, to be liberated, to live in a soul-aligned way, to be ready for the future, right? The matrix in our head, right, had to die, literally had to be transformed, had to be broken down. And that usually comes with everything through a huge purge, where it's like literally coming and bubbling up to the surface, like all the ways that you've been restricted and holding yourself back in the mind, and because of your thoughts and all the things, right, the imprints. And you have to come to this point, which is really a Pluto point. I know that so well, Pluto 12th house and all of my 8th house energy, where you're just like fucking done with it. Like literally you're fucking done. To the point where I was so over my own thoughts, and I don't even want to say my thoughts anymore. I want to say the thoughts, right, that are streaming, and I'm like, just leave me the fuck alone. Like, leave me the fuck alone. I don't listen to you anymore. Literally, like all the, oh, you should be afraid of that. You shouldn't do this. Like, I'm like, this is not helping me. You're like, just leave me the fuck alone. Who are you to tell me that? That's literally how I felt. I was screaming at my own head. And I was just done, I had this moment where I was like, I'm done listening to your head. Like, I'm literally done. And I was like, that's probably what Pluto, Mercury, Aquarius feels like, right? Which just, I'm detached from you now, Aquarius, right? I'm detached. Like, just leave me the fuck alone. You can try to have a temper tantrum, but I'm not going to listen. Like, I'm not going to listen. You're not driving the boat anymore. And that was first, right? And now we have Mars, the masculine, right? How we take action, moving into Aquarius, needing to be liberated, needing to be freed, needing to be transformed, needing to really have a reality check. Are our actions aligned with what our soul really wants, right? Or are we're letting our soul literally die by not acting or by acting in the wrong way. And I think it's very interesting because I met up with my dad over the weekend, and I felt this deep sense of nothing is ever going to change. Like, I would so love, me as the feminine, I would so love to liberate this soul from the matrix, from the prison, from like all of that. Like, I just felt this. I even said to him, you know, people and I said to him literally, he was probably thinking, what are you saying? Humans are not meant to live like that. Like, that's literally what I said. Like, humans are not meant to live like that. No wonder you feel this way. No wonder, you know. And he's like, yeah, but there's no way out, and security and the health insurance. And I'm just like, where do I even start with all of that illusory fear bubble in the mind, right? And so I felt that there was no movement and that I could not help him out. He has to obviously do that himself. And it broke my heart in a way. And then there was a lot of shit happening on my personal level on Monday for me, which was a brutal day for a lot of people. That was basically when Mars was finishing up in Capricorn, right? Literally the last grip of the matrix was what we are feeling. And this like string that it wants to pull you and to control you and to, like, think you need to do things, and like this fear mongering literally was coming up. Like, I was in trigger will heaven, like however you want to say that, and ended up crying a lot, feeling so much rage, so much anger. I'm like, oh, I'm definitely feeling the transits right now, like so much rage, like so much fuck, I don't want this, but I feel like I have to do it. Like that's the energy that I felt, like this trapped Mars that wants to be free, that wants to be impulsive, that wants to be fucking on fire about life, and then this grip of the matrix being like, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. That's literally how I felt. And so I was ending up crying and sobbing and being so angry with creation, with everything. I was like, I'm trapped in this dimension here, like trapped in my head, trapped in the options, trapped in everything. Like, what is the simulation all about? Like, why, if I understand these concepts, is nothing ever going to shift? And I literally felt so human this day, where I was like, oh, I was watching myself doing all of that. And that was the interesting part of it, you know, I was in it. But at the same time, there was some, I want to say, pilot moment where I was just like looking at myself from above at the same time, being like, oh yeah, here you are crying, doing the dishes, doing these fucking stupid little human things, right? And freaking out about life and all the options when it really doesn't matter at all, but still it like emotionally it affects you and you don't know what to do with your rage. And then I went to my bed and was like having it basically a temper tantrum again. I was like, fuck, then I'm just gonna bang my head against, or my hands against my head. And then I was doing that for a while and realized, well, I'm only hurting myself by doing that. So what's the point? You know, it's not like I can liberate myself out of my own head. And so that was that. And then Tuesday was the exact opposite. Like, I felt I was flying and was looking at myself in the morning, was like, do you remember that version of you that you were yesterday? Like, no wonder people could think you are bipolar with how you act, right? So, point being that the energy is shifting and intense for sure. And the most important thing is really to detach from what's going through you as well sometimes. Because again, if you are in tune with the transits, you understand that the rage that's coming up, that is maybe not of your nature, or the emotions that you feel, it's really a purging. We also had really intense solar flares happening, like literally a lot of energy streaming in, so you can feel anxious and like, what the fuck is happening? And there's just a lot. Like, I was also really tired and all the things. And then Wednesday, Valentine's Day, Pluto, Mars meeting up. Yesterday, when Mars moved into Aquarius, I was like, oh, I feel like my masculine is now freed. Like, it's amazing. Like, awesome. Just stay this way. Like, I feel like I'm flying. Maybe I purged everything and now everything is good and everything is fine and dandy. And then I had an appointment with a friend today, actually for myself, to just catch up. And then it only dawned on me when I was back from that appointment. That's why I felt called to record this episode in the first place. We ended up doing a family constellation for the paternal lineage. And I mean, basically, what can I say? Isn't that like literally the transits living and breathing through my fucking life? Because he basically realized like, well, you feel in a way trapped, or you feel like you can't move on, and you feel like you can't even have a relationship properly, or like all of your dreams are not really able to come to fruition, and like because you feel that responsibility of freeing the masculine from the system in a way, from the matrix, right? And helping and guiding them out of it so they have a zestful life again, because you feel like that masculine energy is alive again, then you are free too. And I was thinking about that. Obviously, there's the personal story to the paternal lineage that I chose, and the connection to my dad, my grandpa, and all of that. But it was interesting because I feel it is a huge reflection of what we're all having to face now. So many, I mean, everything is basically because our drive, our masculine impulse, our actions are gripped really tightly in that matrix framework, right? In that rat race, in that usual structure that we think the masculine has to operate. And when I say that, I obviously don't only mean men, it's women too. Their masculine energy is not free to act impulsively, to, you know, be that splenic projector, let's just say, like to really act and move in the world from impulse and instinct, and not necessarily from this is what I have to do first, and that's on the agenda, and that needs to be done, and all the Capricorn things, you know, I have to get done with my to-do list, and then maybe I have a little bit of time less to do the things that I actually love and enjoy. And that's how we all die. Literally, that's how we all die. If we handle our life force this way, Mars, right? Life force, the fire in us, well, the fire will be gone and out at the end of the day. Because literally, we don't even have breathing space. It's wild. It's literally wild. And that is the first, like obviously the second after Mercury, like after the mind, it's the most vital step for us to transform and to return to, basically, to that, what is Mars? It's impulsiveness. And if we don't use the energy that we receive every single day to be free enough to follow our instincts, to follow our impulses, and to trust that that's exactly the task that we need to do in the moment, right? If it doesn't make sense, well, better, you know? It doesn't have to make sense, because we're not meant to understand all the time why we do certain things. And I know that's a crazy, wild thing to wrap your head around, but that's the truth of creation. It's all, I mean, you don't have to think why you breathe in order to breathe. You don't have to think why you digest, you know. Of course, we can find logic to it, well, so you can, you know, the nutrients and all of the things, but you don't have to. Also, I mean, we overcomplicate even that. I mean, I know that from personal experience. We even overcomplicate why we are hungry at a certain day, or why we crave something, and we want to have meaning. And then instead of just, well, the body knows why, you know, creation knows why. Well, it's just a signal that's flowing in. You need to do this now, so do it. Don't overthink it. Don't question it. Like, don't give it too much meaning or importance, or or is it the right thing to do or not? If it's an impulse, well, it might as well be something that is important, you know. But our impulses are really distorted and not aligned with soul and spirit, because we're also conditioned in a way where we think that's not possible for us to survive, right? If we follow our impulses and instincts only. And I mean, you can see that even the way we raise children, obviously, it's very much like they are shut down from a very early age. And that's what we do to our own impulses and instincts then at the end of the day, where we shut them down. It's like, okay, no, I have to maybe first meditate if I can do that. Or, you know, I mean, that's the best case scenario. Or I'm just like shutting them down because it's not even convenient to think about them. And I think the representation of man in the system, in the matrix, even you, if you feel trapped in some sort of construct that binds you and doesn't allow you the free flow of using your life force energy in a way that is aligned with your soul, that's all very much connected. And maybe you want to explore some of your, I was talking about, you know, the importance of doing ancestral work right now. And I really thought I have to do more feminine work, but it's really about understanding that the masculine, the lack of freedom in the masculine, which is, it's the last piece of the matrix really blocking our feminine flow, because we step more so into that masculine role as women, but also men are more feminine in a weird way, right? They don't have the drive and the zest, I want to say, to be courageous and follow their own path and be that leader, right? Because they are giving their power away to a system. Does that make sense? So men are not in their masculine in the way they need to be in order to be that, strong anchor for creation to flow, right? Because they give their power away to a system, and then they only flow in the system, right? And that's where they keep swimming. And so that's the whole dilemma. And we see that in the world. And then there's deep in the collective this rage and this anger about the whole situation, and we actually want to get out of there. That's why you see a lot of wars happening right now, and like people angry and like striking and protesting and all of the things. It's like that suppressed frustration of, fuck, we all want to be free, And yeah, I just thought it's, again, crazy fucking, sorry for cursing, cosmic poetry, how I've been doing that. I had completely different intention for meeting up with my friend. And then at the end of the day, well, we ended up doing that because that's probably, it was more important. I could have been like, but I wanted to have something else and whatever. But then at the end of the day, it might have been important, And it's interesting because my dad wanted to come with me and he couldn't because, well, work, right? So it's like, oh yeah, there we have it, And then our generation is the one that has to step in and do the fucking energy work because there's no room because of the matrix, And I feel for all of them. And that's what he signed up for. We have to be really, I'm grateful that I'm able to do the work, that I have these insights, that I understand, okay, this is like really helping not just me, but the collective. If I'm doing this work, it creates a ripple effect in the field, right? To even have that insight, that awareness, and to see through all of that. Like even me sharing that with you right now, and you listening and you contemplating, that it's almost like there's a lightning bolt happening in your energy field, and because your energy is shifted then through that new perception and insight, you also create the ripple effect in the collective. And so we are all these light bulbs together, and that raises and changes the frequency. And even if you don't actively work with your dad or your grandpa or your paternal lineage, even your own masculine energy, it changes something, it shifts something. Because that's what we really have to understand with all of that Aquarian energy. We are all really just electricity floating in space, right? And we are all just tuning our frequency and our electricity into a specific program to receive specific messages, right? And so if we change the frequency of what we are able to receive, we will receive differently, right? And every time we have these wake-up moments, we collect data, we understand more, we have more insights, it can create that ripple effect in your energetic current, so to speak, and you will attract different circumstances because it's like you're dialing a different number in the universe, You're then dialing in, basically to South Africa instead of, usually it would have been whatever, like America, you know what I mean? You're just dialing a different number now because it's all codes and numbers. But that's a, topic for a different episode. But I felt really called to share this with you, and I might come back to talk more about the final piece, which is in the Trinity, which is then the feminine, the masculine. But I feel like I only want to talk about that when I've been guided through what that portal will be all about, because now I'm like, well, maybe that will be, not as insightful, but I mean, both Mercury, Pluto, Aquarius, and Mars, Pluto, Aquarius have been a fire show. I mean, with Pluto, what can I say? He's my buddy, and we have a love-hate relationship. I'm very plutonic with my stellium in the 8th house, Pluto in the 12th house. He's always been pushing me, and so, yeah, love-hate relationship. But the transformation and the waking up on the other side of that deep fucking underworld that he puts you through sometimes is amazing, and I can guarantee you that. And I think that's also really assuring and helpful if we look into the world and we feel like, oh my gosh, we are trapped with all of the things that are happening. Usually when we are in the midst of these dark moments, I felt that also when I was literally like not myself on Monday and was hurting myself even to some degree and felt so hopeless and wanted to give up on life. I had this voice in my head that was, you know that, you've been there. You've been here so many times where it was like, I'm giving up on life, like, just take me. Why do I have to enter this vessel again? I'm done, with this dimension. And that voice in my head was, well, how many times have we been here? And you know exactly that tomorrow you will probably fly, so don't complain. And obviously I'm not saying that the world is going to fly tomorrow with everything that's happening and the transformation that still needs to occur. But trust me, we are getting there. And what we see and witness, and especially the dark moments, are really evidence that something is majorly cleared and purged. So if whatever you are going through and whatever darkness you are facing, it's really a blessing to experience the contrast, because it means that there must be a fucking epic bright side on the other side. So trust me on that. Been there. I'm going through it all the fucking time with yourself. And yeah, I mean, we're in it together, as I said. And it was really helpful that you also shared on Instagram with me, that you've had the same experiences, the same feelings relative to Monday and also the weekend and maybe even Tuesday, where we felt like we were flying. Yeah, so let me know how you feel. Share this episode with me, with someone else on Instagram, whoever you feel called to, bring some insights and sprinkle in some seeds for awakening and for realizing what's on the agenda. It always means the world to me. Also to hear your feedback of how you resonated with the episode, what you're doing while you're listening, all the jazz. And yeah, I will be back very soon. You can find me on Instagram, Magic Kathi Official. If you want to dive deeper into your activations because you are in pressure cooker right now, or you have a lot of Aquarian energy, or Leo, or Scorpio, Taurus energy, or even Aries and Libra. I mean, the entire zodiac is on fire. Let's just be real. Then let me know. You know where you find me. We can also dive into your gene keys, your human design, or astrology. I mean, my signature session, I combine everything and point out what I feel is most important, or more so what presents itself, just as it presented itself today for me, where you have a different intention and then you end up doing something completely different because the energy just requires us to do and focus on that specific thing. It's always perfect alignment, perfect timing, and need. And we always end up discussing exactly what needs to be discussed for the biggest breakthrough. That's why I call them breakthrough sessions. If you're interested, DM me on Instagram or reach out to me via email. And we'll be back here very soon. I hope you have a freeing, liberating experience right now. Or you feel a little bit more hopeful now after listening. And we'll speak soon. I love you. Step in your magic.